The other day, I uh, I allowed a temptation that I had get the best of me, and it was something that I actually have worked on my whole life. And fortunately, I've been fairly successful at overcoming this temptation. And we all have certain things in our lives that are harder for us to overcome the temptation that we face. Um, One person's temptation that is really difficult for them may not be difficult for someone else. Well, one of my temptations that I don't really struggle with and I don't have a hard time with necessarily is uh, being overly aggressive uh, whenever I talk and argue. I am very conscientious of wanting to have a rational discussion, a rational argument, and not let it get heated to the point where nobody's listening to each other. The other day, I don't know what happened, but I allowed my willpower to completely leave me, and I let Satan jump right in, and I gave in to the temptation. I was having an argument with someone, and I allowed the argument to carry over into the public around other people that weren't associated with uh, the argument that he and I were having. Now, he was he was wrong in some things that he did and said towards me and about me. However, that's absolutely no justification for the way I acted. I raised my voice and I allowed the argument to progress into public, and it should not have. And I wanted to bring that up today because it's been on my mind. I have felt very bad about it. In fact, I've been extremely ashamed that I allowed that to happen because that's not the type of person that I want to be. And regardless of what might have taken place to cause the argument, my belief is there is absolutely no justification for me conducting myself the way I did, raising my voice and allowing it to go into public. The argument that I had with the gentleman should have stayed between he and he and I alone, and there was no need for me to raise my voice. I was extremely frustrated, but that's no excuse. That's no justification. And so we all know that we sin and we give into certain temptations. And I just wanted to share this and hopefully encourage you to think about it. Maybe it's something that you don't struggle with a lot. Maybe it's something that you do struggle with, um, and you have a hard time uh, controlling your anger, controlling your willpower to get back at people, to get your point across. Um, but I just wanted to share this with you, hopefully to encourage you, and also to uh, get it off my chest, even though it won't, because I'll still be thinking about it and still be um, shameful of my actions, because it should never have happened. It was extremely unprofessional and uncalled for. I want to share one verse with you. It's very familiar to a lot of us. Uh, there's a lot of truth to it. It's in James. It's James chapter 1, verse 19. This you know, my beloved brethren, but everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. A lot of people just stop reading right there. But the very next sentence, for the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. I didn't achieve the righteousness of God. I did not encourage the fellow that I was arguing with because of the way I handled it. I didn't encourage the people that were around me in public. I did not exhibit a Christ-like attitude. And the righteousness of God that we see throughout the Bible, and we see the righteousness of God through the example of Jesus, I didn't exhibit that because of my anger, because I let my anger overtake me to the point where I sinned. And so let's all be aware of not only what we say, but how we say it. And we can get our point across. We can argue about things, and there's nothing wrong with that. How we do that can be wrong. And when we say things that are unkind and not in a loving way, that can be wrong too. Please be aware of it. It can happen to any of us. It rarely happens to me, especially in public. I just couldn't believe that after it was all over and done with, I could not believe that I had done what I did. It didn't seem like me, and I just couldn't believe that was me that did that. But it was. And I was wrong and very remorseful. So please be encouraged by this. James is a very good book talking about practical ways of living. There's a lot of good scriptures in there, and there's some other scriptures about speaking to one another. And I hope that you'll be aware of the temptations that may come before you, even temptations that you don't think are necessarily something that you struggle with. Be on your guard, because Satan's going to look for a way, any way he can, to get to you, even when your guard's down, even when you think, oh, I can handle this. That's when sometimes he's going to strike, and he's going to get at you when your willpower is down. And so hopefully you'll be encouraged by this, and you'll avoid giving into those temptations. Thanks a lot for listening, and I appreciate it. Take care.